Hi there, I'm Richard with Serlin Games, and today we're going to learn to play the fighting card game Yomi 2, designed by David Serlin and published by Serlin Games. Yomi 2 is a card battling game that shares a lot of DNA with old school fighting games like Street Fighter. You'll select a character deck, a powerful gem to augment them, and then face off against your opponent in head-to-head combat. Just like in a fighting game, you'll be blocking high and low attacks, throwing overly defensive opponents, and performing combos of several attacks in a row. The Road to Morningstar set is for 1 to 2 players, including a 1v1 versus mode, a solo mode versus automated opponents, and a 2-player co-op mode against those same automated opponents. There's also a 2v2 4-player tag team mode in the Fairview City expansion. In this video, we'll cover the 1v1 versus mode. Also, please take note that all the components in this video are from a pre-production version of the game. The final components look more like this, with sturdy, thick deck boxes showing the super moves of every character, neoprene mats, and so forth. To set up the game, both players will select a character. For the sake of example, let's pick Gravestormborn the Wind Warrior. A character's deck is a static set of cards that represents that character's moves. It contains their attacks, blocks, dodges, throws, special abilities, and super moves. Each character has a maximum hit point value, a max combo limit that we'll learn about later, and an innate ability that separates them from the rest of the characters. These special attributes are listed here on Graves' character card. Use 2 heart tokens to set Graves' life to 90, and we'll keep these purple star tokens off to the side to use for later. We'll also grab 1 copy of both of our super moves and put them into our discard pile. Next, we'll select a gem to augment Graves' abilities. Each gem provides 2 gem special move cards, a burst attack, a gem ability card, and a powerful Gemstorm ability that will help you turn the tide in battle when you decide to use it. The Gemstorm card isn't shuffled into your deck. It sits out on your playmat to show which gem you have equipped. The burst attack is unique for each gem color, and it's a very fast attack that you can use to get yourself out of trouble. We'll go more into what both the Gemstorm and the burst attack do a little later. For your opening hand, fetch these 4 cards from your deck. Low block, high block, 1 normal throw, and your gem's burst card. Shuffle the rest of your deck, including your other added gem cards, and then draw 4 more cards to set up your opening hand of 8 cards. Your opponent will perform the same steps. Looks like we're up against Rook, the Stone Golem. Let's randomly decide who goes first, and now we're ready to play. In Yomi 2, you play as one of many fighters entering the Fantasy Strike Martial Arts Tournament. You'll use a series of attacks, throws, dodges, combos, and super moves as you try to defeat your opponent. The goal of the game is to reduce your opponent's hit points to 0 before they can do the same to you. If you manage to knock out your opponent, then you've won the game. The game takes place over a series of turns and combat phases. You always participate in combat, even if it's your opponent's turn, but on your turn, there's a couple extra things you can do to either build up your combo power or fill in your missing moves. Let's say that Grave won the coin toss, and he'll be going first. In the draw phase, you'll start by drawing 2 cards from your deck. Since it's the first turn though, Grave will only draw 1 card. Note that the maximum hand size limit is 12, so if you were to draw cards past that limit, discard them instead. Next, Grave can perform main phase abilities. There are 4 possible actions he can take, all of them optional. He can do them in any order we like, but only once a turn. The 4 options are Power Up, Exchange, Play an Ability Card, and Gemstorm. Let's start by powering up. To power up, you can discard a pair of cards to do one of 2 things. Either you can gain 2 super meter, denoted by these purple star tokens, or 1 super meter and retrieve one of your super cards from your discard pile. This is one of the 2 main ways to gain super meter. We'll go over the other one later when we get to combat. For now, let's power up with a pair of D cards and grab 1 super meter and our super 1 card, Dragonheart. Next, we can choose to do an exchange ability. Some cards have an exchange icon on the bottom right corner of the card. This means we can discard them during our turn to retrieve other exchangeable cards from our discard pile. Let's exchange a throw with one of those D attacks we powered up earlier. Note that Graves' innate ability, Versatile Style, lets him perform an exchange twice on his turn instead of the usual once. We won't need that right now, but it could come in handy in a tight spot. Another thing we could do on our turn is play an ability card, like this Wind Summon or Inner Focus card. We don't actually have one of these in our hand at the moment though, so let's move on. The last thing we could do is activate our Gemstorm. This is a powerful 2-turn effect that can be done once per game. While a Gemstorm is active, the other player can't use theirs, so let's wait for a more opportune time to use this. Now that we're done with the main phase, it's time to get to the heart and soul of Yomi 2, the combat phase. Combat is performed by both players selecting an opener card, revealing them simultaneously, and we then compare these cards to see what happens next. It works like this. For the most part, attacks beat throws, throws beat blocks and dodges beat attacks. It's a sort of rock, paper, scissors system with a lot of nuance and exceptions, but we'll go over each of those as they come up. For now, it's time to pick a combat card. Let's go with Graves' B attack. We'll place it face down on the table and wait for our opponent to be ready with their card as well. We reveal the cards, and it looks like our opponent went with a throw. That means our attack hits, and we're able to perform a combo. Let's learn about the anatomy of an attack card to see what happens next. In the top left corner, we see a small stopwatch symbol. This is the speed of the attack, with higher numbers being faster than lower, slower numbers. Note that even though Rook's throw card has a higher speed number than our attack, we still hit Rook because attacks beat throws. In the top right corner of the card, we see the damage number for our attack, 4. We can also see a little symbol that shows a black dot swooping downwards, which means this attack hits low. We'll see how that part works a little bit later. We already know about the exchange icon from before. The last part of the card is this chunk of information here that shows how we can turn this humble B attack into a lot more damage. Going back to our character card, or just referencing the top of the B attack card, we can see that Grave has a max combo limit of 4. Each move costs a number of combo points based on the filled-in black dots shown here. What this means is that we're able to keep on adding attacks to this combo as long as they can legally combo from the previous move, and we don't exceed the max combo limit. Let's see what kind of damage we can do right now. When you land an attack or throw, performing a combo lets you spend more cards to deal more damage. The combo data on a card shows which other cards can combo after it. The icon on the left of the arrow tells you the combo type of the card itself. Here's a list of the 5 types of symbols you'll see and what each of them do. Starters, with the play button symbol, can only go at the start of your combo. Linkers, with the chain symbol, can go anywhere in a combo, meaning moves can go either before or after them. Enders, with the stop sign symbol, always end your combo, even if you had more combo points to play more cards. Normal cards are denoted with a circle symbol. They have the fun property that they can chain combo into the next higher letter, and they can combo into any linker or ender too. So an A normal can combo to a B, and a B can combo to a C, and so forth. Can't combo moves are standalone moves, so nothing can go before or after them. Looking at the B card we played, we see that we can combo into a C attack, a linker, or an ender move. Let's add our C attack. We now see that we can combo into a D, a linker, or an ender, so let's also play our D attack. Each move costs a single combo point, so now we're at 3 of our 4 total combo points. As a bonus, whenever you chain these normal lettered attacks together in a sequence, you also build 1 super meter for every chain. The combo data shows the next letter in the sequence in purple as a reminder. B to C is in purple, and C to D is in purple. We get 2 super meter from this combo, B into C for 1, and C into D for 2. Now our super meter is full. We've used 3 of our 4 combo points, so can we add another hit? We need either an E, which we don't have, a linker, which we don't have, or an ender. Lightning Cloud is a 1 combo point ender, so we could end our combo with that, dealing 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 8 damage for a total of 23. That's a pretty big combo when we gain 2 super meter too, but in a real game we'd probably just do B into C into D, and hold on to the Lightning Cloud because that card in particular is really great as an opener. It has the recurring keyword, which means it returns to your hand if you open with it and don't get hit. So probably 4 plus 5 plus 6 for 15 damage and 2 meter is enough for now. So in our example, our attack beat our opponent's throw, and then we hit them with a combo. Let's take a look at some of the other ways this could have gone down. If our opponent played a block card, one of 2 things would happen. Firstly, if Rook played a high block, our B attack would still win combat because it hits low and our opponent blocked high. We could still perform the combo from the previous example. Also, because Rook got hit when playing one of his 2 block cards, it'll end up in the discard pile after combat. Since there are only 1 copy of each block card, he'll have to exchange on his turn to get it back. Otherwise, the Grave player would know that Rook can't block low without it, and could exploit that to his advantage. If Rook played a low block, he would successfully block our attack. We would discard the B attack and not be allowed to deal any damage or continue our combo. In addition, Rook would draw 1 card from his deck and also retrieve the block card back to his hand. Successfully blocking attacks is a great way to build up your hand size. Another thing that could happen is both players could have played an attack. In this case, we would compare the speed of the attacks. The faster one would win, in this case, Rook's red burst attack. Rook would deal damage to Grave, and because this attack can't combo, the combat is over. Sometimes, the speed of attacks can be a tie. The player whose turn it is wins speed ties. In this case, our B attack is the same speed as Rook's fireball attack, but because it's Grave's turn still, he wins the speed tie and can deal damage and perform a combo as normal. Projectile attacks are a special case in that they don't care about speed when going against other projectiles. Like in Street Fighter, if your fireball is a little faster than mine, they still cancel out without either person getting hit, and it's the same here. So in a projectile versus projectile battle, we look at the level of the projectile to see which wins rather than speed. It's written next to the damage number in the upper right of a card. The higher level projectile wins. Another playable character, Jaina the Phoenix Archer, has a powerful super attack that is also a level 3 projectile, so she would win if these two combat cards were played. Also, remember that super meter we built up by powering up and performing combos? Super attacks like Dragonheart and Dragon's Breath require a super meter to play, whether they are used as an opening card or as part of a combo. You can't play a super unless you can spend the meter. There are a few other things going on with these attacks. Notice that next to their damage number, they have a smaller number inside a shield symbol. This represents block damage, or chip damage in fighting games, meaning if the attack gets blocked, it's so powerful that it still does some damage to the blocker. Dragonheart also has this caution symbol under its combo data, telling us that this move is unsafe on block. What this means is that if the opponent successfully blocks this attack, they get to hit back with one single attack or throw right away. This could be as harmless as a normal attack, or a devastating super if they've got the cards and the super meter. The last thing that can happen to an attack is that it can be dodged. Unlike blocks, dodge cards are always discarded when played, instead of returning to your hand or drawing extra cards. However, if you dodge a strike attack, you can hit back with a single attack or throw. Dodging is a great way to deal extra damage to your opponent if you think they'll attack, since blocking mostly serves to draw you more cards, and doesn't usually result in extra damage. Projectile attacks can also be dodged, but you aren't allowed to punish them. The dodge gets discarded, and because most projectiles are recurring, they often return back to the player's hand ready to be used again. Projectiles are very good attacks that are tough to deal with. You'll often have to outspeed them with a fast strike of your own to get rid of them. The last part about attacks we'll cover is this symbol here. Sometimes, attacks can be given some extra juice by discarding additional cards from your hand whenever you hit with them. This is called pumping an attack. For Jaina's Dragonheart attack, it deals 8 damage, but you can add 5 more by discarding any card from your hand, as noted by this asterisk symbol here. Crossfire Kick can be pumped by discarding an additional Crossfire Kick, as noted by this Z symbol here. And her Super Red Dragon can be pumped 2 additional times for 9 damage each, by discarding extra Super 1 and Super 2 cards, as noted by the star symbol. That's all for attacks. Let's learn about how throws interact with the other options that can be led as an opener. Firstly, throws beat blocks and dodges. They're a great way to open up an overly defensive opponent, or one that is trying to draw cards by blocking. Throws also have speeds, which is how we would determine who wins when 2 throws are played. Remember, in the case of a tie, the tie is broken by whoever's turn it currently is. Notice how on Grave's throw card we can see some combo data there. This throw costs 2 combo points, and this play button symbol means that it's a combo starter. This means it can combo into nearly anything Grave can do, as long as he has the combo points to play those moves. Rook's throws can't combo, but they're powerful enough on their own. Also notice this knockdown on hit symbol. Knockdown is a disadvantaged state that a player can be in. If you get knocked down, take the knockdown token and put it on your player mat. Your dodges are disabled, and your opponent's attacks and throws are sped up to 10. This lasts for 1 turn only. If both players are knocked down for some reason, they both stand up immediately. Both of these throws can cause the knockdown state, but it's important to note that if Grave were to successfully throw his opponent and decided to do a combo for more damage, the opponent would not be knocked down at the end of that combo. Another advantage state you can find yourself in is called the edge. The other side of the knockdown token explains how this works. Sometimes a move, like Geiger's slow time spiral, will say that it's plus on block or hit. This means that if this move is the last move that Geiger hits his opponent with, he will gain the edge. The edge means that for the following combat, that player's attacks and throws become 3 speed faster to a maximum of 10. This lasts 1 turn. Just like with knockdown, if both players would have the edge, then neither of them do. And if a player would have the edge while the other player is knocked down, ignore it and give them the knockdown token. It's easy to remember because they share the same physical token. And that's mostly all you'll need to play the game. Players will take turns performing their main phase actions, then we'll do a combat phase, then the other player will take their turn, we'll do another combat phase, and then so on and so forth until one player knocks out the other and is declared the winner. Now the magic of Yomi 2 comes from trying to predict what your opponent will do and then punishing them with the cards from your hand. Is your opponent low on cards? Well then maybe you should try to throw them because they might be trying to block to build their hand size back up. Or maybe they already have a large hand and full super meter, so you might want to try to dodge their super attack or outspeed it with a fast attack of your own. Or maybe you could do a big combo now, but that might leave you low on cards and leave you vulnerable and punishable on future turns. There's a lot of bluffing, baiting, strategy, and tactics that go into how you'll approach all these different matchups in the game, just like a true arcade fighting game. Let's go back to our original Grave vs. Rook match and see how some future turns could play out. It's Rook's turn, so he'll draw 2 cards now. He decides to play an ability, Earthquake. This ability knocks down the opponent if it's the first thing you do on your main phase, and it ends your main phase immediately. Grave takes the knockdown token, meaning Rook's attacks and throws are now a minimum of 10 speed, and Grave isn't allowed to dodge. Rook's F attack hits very hard but is extremely slow, but if the opponent is knocked down it becomes 10 speed, so it's a pretty good opener. Grave successfully blocks the attack, which lets him draw a card immediately, and then return the block card to his hand. Rook discards his attack card as usual and doesn't get to combo afterward. Now it's Grave's turn. Grave draws 2 cards at the start of his turn, and he draws 2 A attacks. Let's exchange one of those A's for a throw card so he can at least threaten the idea to his opponent that he might throw them. Grave's innate ability, Versatile Style, lets him exchange 2 times instead of once, so let's exchange another A for one of those D attacks again. Grave readies a Lightning Cloud and Rook blocks it. Because Lightning Cloud has the recurring keyword, it'll return to Grave's hand. It also has the lockdown keyword, which means that if an opponent blocks this attack, they don't get to draw the extra card they usually get from blocking. Rook will still return the low block card to his hand now, and he'll also take 4 damage because Lightning Cloud deals 4 block damage. Back to Rook's turn, he draws 2. He powers up a pair of C's and gets 2 Super Meter. He activates his red Gemstorm. For the next 2 turns, if the opponent plays an attack, they'll take 8 damage immediately. If they block, they'll take 4. This makes his opponent more likely to play throws or dodges as a result. But what will Grave do? He readies his combat card, Head Crush, Dragonheart. Both players spend 2 Super Meter to play their big super attacks. Grave's attack is faster, so he wins combat. Rook takes 20 damage, but since he starts with 100 hit points, he's still pretty healthy. Rook is used to taking a bit of a beating while he's cornering his opponents. Because Rook's red Gemstorm is active, Grave also takes 8 damage because he opened with an attack. Playing Dragonheart was a very risky move, but it paid off. Grave draws 2 cards, a dodge, and a throw. The red Gemstorm is still active for one more combat. He has to make a tough decision now. If he attacks or blocks, he'll take damage again, but throwing is hard against Rook because of his fast, powerful throw moves. Grave decides to dodge, hoping to get away with it, but Rook grabs him with a Windmill Crusher. Grave takes 16 damage from the huge throw. The life totals are close to even, and there's still a lot of game left. Can Grave use his lightning projectiles to keep the lumbering golem at bay? Or can Rook get his craggy hands on the young warrior and pound him to dust? We'll leave the rest to your imagination. And there you have it. That's everything you need to know to play the game. With 10 characters and 6 gems in the Morningstar set, and even more characters and gems in other Yomi 2 products, there are so many abilities and interactions that it's way too much to fit into a single video, but I hope that I've left you excited to check it all out on your own. For more information on Yomi 2, you can head to our website at www.serlingames.com/Yomi2 or check the links in the description of the video. Thanks so much for watching, and we hope to see you in the dojo. At the time of this video, Yomi 2 is crowdfunding on Gamefound, which is sort of like Kickstarter, and there's a link in the description to that. If you're watching the video later, check out serlingames.com.